Hello and welcome to this demonstration on the functionality of Deep Exploration 6.0. I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes or so giving you an insight into how this software works and what stunning results you can get from Deep Exploration. The subject of this demonstration is going to be the trailer you can see on the screen at the moment. As you can see, this is quite a detailed model. This trailer was originally developed in SolidWorks and has been imported into Deep Exploration. Deep Exploration will seamlessly import a huge variety of CAD formats including ProEngineer, Inventor, SolidWorks, CATIA and numerous others. In its native format, this trailer was almost 300 megabytes in size, but as we can see here in our information panel, Deep Exploration has reduced that to 29 megabytes containing just over 2,000 components, making it a much more manageable size. I can easily hide off some components here, and we can see in the substructure of this trailer that there has been no loss in visual quality as a result of that reduction in size. Now, it might be the case that someone is looking at a file of this size and is not familiar with the design or how it works. Deep Exploration features a pull apart tool for this reason. This tool allows the user to pull components away from the main structure and place them anywhere in the viewport. This gives the user a quick and on-the-fly ability to explore internal components and validate exactly how things work or fit together or how components interact with each other without the use of a predetermined exploded view. As you can see here, I can just grab and drag any component and place it wherever I want. Once finished, then the user can easily return to the home position of the trailer. I can give you a quick tour of the main interface of Deep Exploration. Here you can see the scene tree, which lists all the components which make up this trailer assembly. All of the components are named and listed as per the native file format. Folders represent sub-assemblies, and you can also hide and unhide components from the main viewport by checking or unchecking the box next to the component. As you would expect from a CAD visualization tool, there are many different ways to view the model on the screen. Users can quickly toggle between a variety of modes including space claims or bounding boxes, standard shaded mode, transparent mode, wireframe mode, technical illustration mode, solid outline, and some further space claim and bounding box options. You also have different ways to display the model within the viewport. Depending on the CAD system you're used to, then you could take advantage of a 2-window split screen, 4-window split screen, or a side-by-side option. For this demonstration, then we'll stick with the single view layout. You can also quickly and easily access different default views of the model based upon its orientation, as you can see in this list. Keyboard shortcuts allow me to quickly access T for top, R for right, B for back. You also have a perspective view and the ability to toggle the shadow on and off. Deep Exploration has a tab system at the top of the screen which allows you to categorize your toolbars and create a workflow depending on what output you're trying to create. As you can see here, if I go to the Markups tab, then I have all the tools available to me which are relevant to creating and viewing markups. Within the design process, markups are extremely important. They allow engineers to communicate designs to each other and engineering managers to provide feedback and validation of designs, and also allow non-engineering staff to comment upon different projects. Deep Exploration has an extremely comprehensive markup ability. This tab on the right hand side allows the user to save a snapshot or model view of the model. I've previously created and saved some markups that can be seen here on the screen. This first snapshot references a previous design and gives the user an image of that design. This second markup draws attention to some pipes that are not aligned correctly. These markups contain notes, sketches, images, comments, dimensions and detailed views, all the aspects that are required from a markup tool. I'm going to go ahead and create a couple of examples of some markups so you can see how easy it is to create them, and then I will show you exactly what can be done with these markups once they have been created. One of the problems with some of the markup tools available within the CAD systems is that they use actual engineering CAD models for the markups. This would mean that in this case, a non-CAD user would need hardware to be able to handle a 300 megabyte CAD file just to comment on a small aspect of the design or view the progress of the project as a whole. This is not the case with Deep Exploration, as the file size of this model has been drastically reduced. The added advantage is also that there is no danger of a non-CAD user playing around with the engineering models they don't know how to use, which could end up in unauthorized changes being accidentally made. I've simply created a few dimensions here on the back of the trailer model. If required, I could also create angular dimensions or calculate the surface area or volume of some of the components. Now that these dimensions are created, I can create a simple note to convey to the person viewing this exactly what the problem is or what needs to be addressed. I can make use of several functions for creating notes in Deep Exploration that include with or without leaders and varying leader end styles, simple notes without leaders, and also any digital image can be pasted into my markup. Here we can see that as soon as my note is created, a new markup model view appears on the right hand side. If required, I can go ahead and change the orientation of the model in that snapshot and just quickly update it. I can also then make sure that it has a logical name so that people then realise the nature of this markup. And that's my markup completed. I will just add a second one. This time I'll need to hide off the main container so that we can get a better look at the components underneath. This time I'll attach an image of an existing design to this markup and tell the user that it should be referenced regarding this current design. To do this, I can browse to any digital image on my system and simply add it to the model. Once it's there, I will annotate the area with a simple note with an arrow. Again, you will see that as soon as my note is created, my new model view is added on the right hand side. Just to make sure the person looking at this knows exactly what I mean, I can also include a detailed view of the area. I can simply draw a circle around the area I want as a detail and then drop the view in place. One really cool aspect of this tool is that the detail view is interactive and actually contains the entire model. So I can go in and adjust that view and reorientate it to however I like. I can also adjust the size of the main balloon and move that around the screen to get it into a better position. Then finally, all I need to do is rename the view, and that's my second markup completed. I'll now save this model, and we can take a look at exactly how these markups can be used and how they can be conveyed to the engineers or people who need to make those changes that we just specified. Deep Exploration has a free viewing tool. It comes with the system or can be downloaded from the website. This allows people without a license of Deep Exploration to view files and view markups and amend or create markups for use within the system. This is a huge benefit to anyone needing to view CAD documents but doesn't require the need to actually use a CAD system. This is the Deep View interface. I can simply drag and drop our trailer file into the viewport and wait for the file to load up. Once it's loaded, you will see that visually Deep View looks very similar to Deep Exploration. You can orientate the model around and hide or unhide components. And on the right hand side are some useful tools that allow users to easily explore these files and get a better idea of the designs that they are looking at. You can view the model in the same modes as Deep Exploration, for example wireframe, technical illustration or solid outline. And Deep View also features a cross-section tool so that users can easily interrogate the internal aspects of a design for fit and function. Here we can see the cross-section in both X and Y directions, giving a more detailed view of the trailer model. On the left hand side are various other tools. We have the ability to see and access the scene tree exactly as per Deep Exploration, And we can see also a parts list, which we can sort either via part ID or part name, or by the quantity of that particular part within our trailer assembly. But most importantly for us is the ability to see those markups that which were just created. You can see here on the right hand side the thumbnails of those markups. Exactly as per Deep Exploration, you can click on them to view that particular markup. Here we can see the two that I created earlier on have the ability to amend those markups or create others and then save back to the native Deep Exploration format so those comments can be seen by others. So that's an overview of markups and how they can be created and used within Deep Exploration, and additionally how they can be used using the free download Deep View. The next area I'm going to deal with is how to create animations within Deep Exploration. This panel on the right hand side called Steps and Procedures deals with animations. I've already created some short steps here that show how some of the hydraulic systems on this trailer work. Animations can be a very important tool for designers and engineers, as well as many other departments involved in the use of a product. They can be used to clarify and validate how mechanical designs work. They can be used for marketing purposes. They can be used by manufacturing and assembly lines for reference on how a product is assembled, and could be used by maintenance departments for reference on how to mend or disassemble a product. These animations that I just played are just a set of short, simple sequences that you can see listed here. If I activate one of these sequences and move the animation slider at the bottom of the screen, you can see the movement involved in that sequence. These sequences are really very simple to create, and I will show you an example of creating a sequence and then how to group these sequences together to create a longer, more detailed animation. On our trailer design, these feet come down to ground level to help stabilise the trailer when the container is being loaded or unloaded. So I can just create a new sequence here on the right hand side and go and give it a logical name so that it can be easily identified from the other sequences. I can specify the length of the sequence in either frames, or in this case I'll choose seconds and make this 2 seconds long. So now all I have to do is simply record what I'm doing on the screen. It's a really very simple process. I'll just slide the animation slider to the end and then hit the record icon. Now a nice feature of Deep Exploration is that if I select a component on the screen, it will show me in the scene tree exactly what subassembly that component is part of. So it makes it very easy for me to select the entire foot subassembly here. So I'll select the right and left hand feet so that they both move down at the same time, and I'll simply move them down to ground level. As you can see here, I can change views to get a better look at where ground level is, and then once they are in their final position, I can stop the recording of this sequence. Then by moving the slider here, I can see the sequence I just created in action, or I can simply play it from the beginning to the end. I can then just reorder these sequences simply by dragging and dropping them. This is not entirely necessary, but it does make things a little bit more logical to look at. As we can see, I now have the main arms lowering and then the feet lowering as well. Now I want this animation to be a complete cycle of the trailer unloading a container, so that means that these feet will have to retract as well. To do this, I can simply duplicate and reverse the sequence I just created, rather than creating an entirely new sequence. The system is very intuitive to use, and I can simply right mouse button click and select duplicate to make a copy of this sequence, and then rename this one to label it as the sequence where the feet retract. And I can do the same with the arms as well. However, this time I can duplicate and reverse at the same time, and then again rename and reorder. So you can see here in a few very simple, quick steps, I have the arms and feet lowering and then 2 copied sequences that show them retracting. I'll then go back to the Steps and Procedures tab, and I can group these short, simple sequences together to make a more detailed animation. I'll create a new step and call it Stabilizers, and then simply select the sequences I want to feature in this step, and at this point I can also reorder them if I want to. And what we can also say here is that whatever orientation the trailer is in when I play this animation, it should take 3 seconds to fly to the view of my choice. And this is something that makes the animation look really nice when it transitions from one step to another. So that wants to be the first step, so again I can drag and drop to reorder these steps, and then I'll create the final step. I'll go through exactly the same process as before, so name the step, and then choose the sequences I want to use in whatever order I want to use them in. And again, take 3 seconds to fly to this position. Now once that's done, I can easily update the position in which these steps are viewed. And I'll do that with both of these new steps, so we can get a bit closer to the moving parts and we can see them in more detail. And I can then play all of these steps together. So we can see here the new ones that we've added with the feet coming down. And then the transition between the steps taking 3 seconds to fly to that new position we specified. As I mentioned before, this could be easily used by many different departments within a company to educate people or show people how designs work, or how they are assembled or disassembled, or quite simply just to convey conceptual designs to other designers. These animations could also be annotated with notes or images, or industry standard symbols to add further details. And at any point the viewer can stop the animation and go and interrogate the model to look at certain areas in even more detail. These animations are also viewable in the free to download Deep View product, which we saw earlier on when we were looking at markups. And finally, this set of steps could be output and saved as a fully rendered photorealistic file, the most common of which will be in an AVI format. The next area I'm going to cover is how you can create photorealistic renderings within Deep Exploration. I'll go to my rendering tab at the top here so I have access to all the relevant toolbars. Now if I hide this panel down in the front of the trailer, we can see there are lots of internal components which wouldn't be seen in a rendering and will use up valuable processing power when creating renderings. There is a specific tool to remove internal components. However, in the case of this trailer, there are lots of vents and gaps in the side, as you can see here, so that specific tool is not going to be suitable. Instead, we can remove components that are smaller than a specific size. So within the tool setting here, we can adjust the tolerance of what is classed as a small component. And in the information tab, we can see that there are currently over 2,000 parts. And now after selecting the Remove Small Components tool, we can see that has been reduced to just over 500 parts. Now I'm also going to remove the container for this rendering, so we can see a bit more detail of the bed of the trailer. I've also applied materials to a lot of the components, however some still need to be done. Deep Exploration comes with a library of high dynamic range materials that you can see here, and to apply these materials it's as simple as dragging and dropping them onto the components. So this area down by the wheels still needs some materials added. We can add a dull metal for the wheels, and maybe a matte for the wheel guards, and also a rubber for the tyres. We can add some painted metal materials and perhaps a reflective metal for the tank in the middle. So once that's done, we can change the rendering engine used in the viewport. This menu in the bottom corner shows the ones available, and I'm going to change to the High Dynamic Range Real-Time Driver. High Dynamic Range is basically a set of techniques which allows the computer to more accurately calculate light definition, and it's this light definition that ultimately is going to give our images photorealistic quality. As soon as that's activated, you can see the difference on the screen. The materials straight away seem a lot more realistic than before. Now with the High Dynamic Range renderer comes something called environment maps. The environment maps are basically 360-degree high definition images with light built into those images. They give you the opportunity to put your product into an environment and then capture your rendering. So here we can see some examples. A highway here, and you can see how the lighting changes to more of a sunlight or natural look. And here the front of a hotel. There's a library of these environment maps which comes with Deep Exploration. But for this rendering, we'll choose one of the many studio environments that's available. So I'll just orientate the trailer into a position we want for the rendering, like so. Then we can take a quick look at the rendering properties. Here you can see all the different preset sizes you can choose, and of course you can specify things like resolution and the overall quality. Once those are set, then I just select the rendering icon. So now the trailer is being rendered. This will take a couple of seconds to actually go through the rendering process. I've left this on a fairly low image size and resolution and picked a draft quality so that it renders quite quickly. But later on I'll show you some images of this trailer where the settings and resolution were ramped right up. So that's our final image there, and for a quick draft image it's really of a very good quality. You can see the reflection in the paint at the front, and the mirror finished metals are of a particularly good standard. And it's these materials that are notoriously difficult to render in other rendering packages. A further thing we can do is use any digital image as a background. This is very good if you want to visualize your product in the natural environment in which it might be used. So I have a simple JPEG image of a car park here. I'm just going to drop that image into the scene as a backplate. And I've already used that highway environment map to get the lighting correct, to give it its natural lighting. And I'll just simply select this image in the scene tree and use the scaling tool just to scale it up. And then I can just move this trailer again into the correct position. And then just set that rendering going. Now again, this is going to take a few seconds to render, but these renderings are so quick and simple to do, and they can be used for all sorts of different purposes, such as marketing material, for websites and promotional material, and for designers and engineers to get a better idea of what a product looks like in its natural environment. And here we can see the final rendering. As you can see from the shadows underneath and the paint reflections on the top there, it really is a great high quality photorealistic image. Now I have some examples here of the trailer where the rendering settings have been ramped right up, and each of these took approximately 10 or 15 minutes to render. So here are some examples of the trailer in the studio environment. And you can tell by again some of the paintwork and the mirror finish hydraulics that these really are very high quality images. Then you can see some more here in more lifelike environments. This is the hotel environment map which we looked at earlier on. And again here in a night scene, and then finally this one in the car park which uses that simple JPEG as the backplate. So that brings this demonstration to an end. I hope this has given you a good insight into the capabilities of Deep Exploration 6.0 and shown you some of the great results you can get from this system and just how easy it is to use.